Ever wondered what billionaire investor Warren Buffett thinks about owning a house? It's a question that sparked many a heated debate over dinner tables and online forums alike. After all, when a man with the Midas touch like Buffett speaks, people listen. And why wouldn't they? His investment prowess and financial acumen are legendary. Now let's dive right into the heart of the matter. Should you, as a young adult, plunk down your hard-earned cash for a house or invest it instead and rent a home? Let's turn to Buffett for some wisdom. Buffett has a unique perspective on home ownership. He once said, "A house can be a valuable asset and a satisfying part of your life, but it is not an attractive investment at a time of low interest rates and substantial inflation." Now that's a quote to chew on. What Buffett is essentially saying here is that while a house can indeed be a valuable asset, it's not necessarily the best investment, especially in our current economic climate. He's not downplaying the idea of owning a home, but he's urging us to consider it from a different angle. Let's break it down. A house, according to Buffett, can be a source of joy, comfort, and security. It's a tangible asset, something you can touch, feel, and live in, unlike stocks or bonds. But when it comes to investment, the picture changes. In an environment of low interest rates, your money doesn't grow much sitting in a bank. And with inflation eating into the value of money, the real returns from a house, which traditionally doesn't appreciate as fast as stocks, might not be as attractive. So the question is, do you want a house for the emotional and physical comfort it offers? Or do you want to make your money work harder for you in other types of investments? So, according to Buffett, a house can hold value, but it's not always the best investment. What about young people? Should they buy a home or invest the money instead and rent a home? This question has probably crossed the minds of many young adults, and Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha, has a pretty clear stance on this. Buffett advises young adults to think twice before jumping into the commitment of homeownership. Homeownership, while often seen as a rite of passage, can tie up a significant amount of capital that could be put to use elsewhere. Having a mortgage and the associated costs of maintaining a property can be a financial burden, especially for those just starting their careers. Here's a quote from Buffett himself. "If I were a young person today, I would invest my money rather than buy a home. The money you save on mortgage interest will more than cover your rental expenses." This piece of advice from one of the world's most successful investors is certainly food for thought. Buffett's perspective stems from the idea that young people have a long investment horizon ahead of them. This allows the power of compounding to work its magic, potentially leading to substantial gains in the long run. In contrast, a house, while it might appreciate over time, will not offer the same potential for exponential growth. Furthermore, renting provides flexibility. In today's rapidly changing job market, being able to move freely can be a significant advantage. Tying yourself down with a mortgage can limit your options and make it more difficult to seize opportunities that require relocation. So, in Buffett's view, young people are better off investing their money than tying it up in a home. This viewpoint might seem unconventional, especially in societies where homeownership is highly valued. But remember, this advice comes from a man who has made billions through smart investing. It might be worth considering. And what does Buffett think about the current housing market? Well, he's not one to shy away from sharing his thoughts. He's been quoted as saying, "We are not in a bubble territory or anything of the sort." Now, if interest rates were to rise a lot, that could change things quickly. As we can see, Buffett doesn't believe we're in a housing bubble, but he's also mindful of the impact of interest rates on the housing market. One of the greatest investors of our time, Buffett understands the intricate relationship between interest rates and property prices. When interest rates are low, people can afford to borrow more, and they're more likely to buy properties. This drives up demand and house prices. Conversely, when interest rates rise, borrowing becomes more expensive, potentially slowing down the housing market. Buffett's insight is particularly relevant today, as we find ourselves in an era of historically low interest rates. It's a time when people are buying homes at prices that might seem high by historical standards. But Buffett's words remind us that these prices are influenced by the broader economic environment, particularly the low cost of borrowing. However, it's important to remember that Buffett's words aren't a prediction. They're an observation based on his understanding of how markets work. He's not saying that there will be a housing market crash if interest rates rise. Rather, he's saying that the market could change, which could mean slower growth or even a decline in prices. So what's the takeaway here? Buffett's views remind us to keep an eye on the broader economic picture when thinking about the housing market. And as always, he advises caution and careful thought before making any major financial decisions. Buffett doesn't believe we're in a housing bubble, but he acknowledges that rising interest rates could change the situation. Does Buffett think we will have a housing market crash in the near future? Quite a question, isn't it? It's a query that many of us have pondered, especially given the unpredictable nature of real estate in recent years. Warren Buffett, known for his investment acumen and foresight, has shared his perspective on this very topic. He's been quoted as saying, "I don't see a nationwide bubble in residential real estate right now, but I worry about people borrowing money against their homes. That could end very badly." What does he mean by this? Well, it's clear that Buffett doesn't predict a housing market crash in the immediate future. He doesn't see a nationwide bubble that's about to burst and send us spiraling into a real estate crisis. This should come as a relief to homeowners and potential buyers alike. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Buffett does express concern about a specific practice: borrowing against one's home. This is when homeowners use their home equity, the portion of the home they truly own, as collateral for a loan. It's a risky move, one that could lead to financial ruin if not handled with caution. Why is this? Because if the housing market does experience a downturn, or if the homeowner's financial situation changes, they could end up owing more than their home is worth. In the worst-case scenario, they might lose their home altogether. It's a sobering thought, and one that highlights the importance of financial prudence and careful planning. So, while Buffett doesn't foresee a housing crash on the horizon, he does urge caution. He warns homeowners against taking unnecessary risks, especially when it comes to their most valuable asset, their home. In conclusion, Buffett doesn't predict a housing crash, but he warns against borrowing against home equity. It's a reminder that while the future of housing may seem bright, it's always wise to tread carefully. After all, as Buffett himself has shown us, foresight and caution are key to long-term financial success. So, what can we take away from Warren Buffett's thoughts on home ownership and the housing market? Let's distill the wisdom of one of the greatest investors of our time, Warren Buffett. He has shared his insights about the value of a house versus its investment potential. While a home can be a place of comfort, security, and pride, it's not necessarily the best investment. According to Buffett, the fact that you live in a house doesn't make it an asset. An asset should generate income, and a house, unfortunately, doesn't do that while you're living in it. Buffett has some specific advice for the young folks. He suggests that they might be better off investing their money rather than buying a home. He's not against owning a home, but he emphasizes the importance of financial literacy and making informed decisions. Buffett believes that understanding the concept of money and investments at a young age can set the stage for a financially secure future. When it comes to the current state of the housing market, Buffett has observed a significant rise in prices. However, he cautions that the housing market is not immune to fluctuations. It's important to consider this before making a huge financial commitment like buying a house. As for the future, Buffett doesn't have a crystal ball to predict a housing market crash, but he has warned about the potential risks. He believes that it's crucial to be prepared for all scenarios. Remember, the housing market, like any other market, can be unpredictable. It's governed by a multitude of factors, some of which are beyond our control. In the end, Buffett's advice is to consider your financial situation, the market conditions, and your long-term goals before deciding to buy a home or invest your money. So, whether you're dreaming of owning a home or envisioning a prosperous investment portfolio, let Buffett's wisdom guide you in making a choice that ensures a secure and financially sound future.